This image is a little bit too yellow, isn't it? But we can correct that. Look at this. You see the difference? And in this tutorial I will show you what, in my opinion, are the two best techniques to remove color cast in Photoshop. Ciao ragazzi! So, first of all, what is color cast? It's basically a tint that affects your image in such a way that the colors of certain objects do not correspond to what you expected them to be. It can be caused by artificial light, natural light, as well as reflected light from colored surfaces. Imagine, for instance, if you have a speed light and you bounce it off a colored ceiling. Although there are exceptions, color cast is mostly unwanted, and so this is method number one to get rid of it, which I use, let's say, 25% of the time. The first thing I want to do is create a new pixel layer that contains all the work I've done so far. In this case I only have one layer, and so I can just duplicate it using the shortcut Ctrl J or Command J on Mac. But let's say you have lots of layers and you want to apply this technique. What I suggest you do is create a stamp visible layer. In order to do that, you use the shortcut Ctrl Alt Shift E on PC or Command Option Shift E on Mac. So if by any chance you mess it up, you won't lose all your work. And I will name this layer Remove Color Cast 1. Okay, then I go up here and I choose Filter. From the drop down list I select Blur and then Average. It doesn't even look like an image, but let's proceed. Now I want to invert the colors of this layer, and in order to do that I use the shortcut Ctrl I or Command I on Mac. And then I change the blend mode of the layer to color. And the last thing I want to do, I reduce the opacity to, let's say, 30%. And there you have it. We removed the color cast. Let's have a look at the before and after. This is the before, and you see the picture is a lot more yellow, and this is the after. And you see that now the walls are white, and so is the furniture and this part of the setting. If you think the effect is too strong, you can further refine the opacity and go down to, let's say, reduce it to 20%. Let's have another look at the before and after. Yeah, I think it looks much more natural. Now the second technique, which is based on a hidden gem of Photoshop. First of all, I deselect the layer we just created, and I go down to the adjustment layers and choose curves. Then, rather than playing with a histogram manually, I go up here, I click, and I select Auto Options. By default, I think you will find that Enhance Brightness and Contrast is selected, but what we are interested in is Find Dark and Light Colors. And then please make sure that Snap Neutral Midtones is selected. And that's it! Photoshop has automatically corrected the tones in the image and removed the color cast. As a last thing, I then suggest you to check Save as Defaults, so that next time you want to apply the effect, you already have this configuration ready to be used. Then I click OK. And once again, if you think the effect is too strong, you can always play with the opacity. For instance, I have the feeling that the ceiling here is now a little bit too blue, so maybe I reduce the opacity to about 50%. Let's have another look at the before and after. This is the before, and this is the after. Yeah, I think once again we did a good job. As an aside, you could have done exactly the same thing using levels. Go to the adjustment layers, choose levels, and then up here you click Auto Options, and you will find exactly the same options as before. And then once again you could reduce the opacity to 50%, and we are done. As I said, I normally prefer this second technique, and I use it about 75% of the time, but it clearly depends on the image. So try both techniques on your pictures and see which one works best for you. Now, very quickly, let me remove this levels layer. These curves will be our remove color cast 2 method, and then I'll show you how quick it is to apply these two techniques to a different image when step-by-step instructions are kept to a minimum. So this is another image which I took in Milan. So Ctrl J, then filter, blur, average, then Ctrl I to invert, blend mode to color, opacity down to 30%. This is the before, a lot of yellow, and this is the after, much better. Second technique, adjustment layers, curves, up here, auto options, everything is good. This is the before, and this is the after. Alright guys, I hope you'll find this useful, and ciao for now.